Good morning. This morning we are going to, I'm Val, by the way. I'm Val. Okay, this morning we are going to do a 9 patch, a simple 9 patch using pre-cut 2.5 inch squares. And you can use any square you want. You just need 9 of them, all right? I'm using 2.5 inch squares. So first I picked out 9 little squares here. Granted, these are super scrappy. Here's our finished. This is a great way to use up your stash if you have any leftover pieces of fabric. So we're gonna start with the first thing you do is you make some pairs. So you're gonna make 3 pairs. And since it's scrappy, I'm not being too picky. I'm gonna line them up right sides together. So I have 3 pairs and then I'm gonna have 3 loner blocks. Loner squares, I should say. They will sit over there. So, first off, you need to be stitching with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I always like to use a scrap piece of fabric at the beginning of starting to stitch so that your threads don't get all knotted up. People call it all sorts of different things, but my mom taught me it's called a bunny tail. So, feel free to call it whatever you want. But so if you hear bunny tail, I'm referring to this. No bunnies are hurt in this process. All right, so what this does is it keeps these little guys from getting knotted up on the back of, because a lot of times that happens with our machines, knotted up on the back of your fabric. So we're just gonna go in here at a 1/4 inch. And then, because we have 3 of them, rather than stopping and starting again, this is called chain stitching. And we're just gonna run this one right after it. Can you give me some scissors? I forgot scissors. Alrighty. So I've made 3 of these little blocks. Sets, I should say. All right. And then we're gonna press. So there's a couple different types of pressing. And everybody has an opinion about pressing. I don't have an opinion. I have 2 different ways of pressing. If I know exactly which order my blocks are going to be in, I am going to press my seams one way on one row and the opposite way on the other row. So when I sew them together, they nest. If I'm doing scrappy like this and I don't know who's gonna go next to who, I'm gonna press my seams open. So today we're pressing open. Some people don't think pressing open is good because it is not as strong. I think it works just fine. And you don't have to worry about whether you get big lumps because your seams will just nest together. And this is a hot little iron. Tell you what, you don't even need steam. All right, so then once you have these, we're gonna add our little loner squares here to either side, doesn't matter, whatever side you want. And again, we will line them up right sides together. Now, I'm just gonna sew one of these and then we'll go to the second part of the block. I have some step outs. A couple pins. Dang it. I normally am so much more prepared. You would think. All right, so we're gonna sew this little guy together. And then we have our row of 3. Thank you. My assistant Annette, who knows where all the supplies are. All right, so we have our 3, and we're gonna imagine we have our other ones already together, right? And I'm gonna show you how beautiful it looks in the back when you open your seams and how they all fit together so nicely. So to make this happen, we're gonna take our row, right sides together, and I'm not a big pinner because I'm kind of a lazy sewer, totally admit that. But when I want these guys to look pretty and accurate, I'm going to pin, and I pin right through my seam. So, right through the seams. Well, that one's almost through the seam. Line them up. Bunny tail. So not my machine either. I normally press my foot and my foot goes down. Jackie's machine requires more. Now when you come up to your pin, do not sew over your pin. Come up close. I always make sure that my little edge of my block on the top doesn't get caught in the foot, because sometimes it'll get caught in the foot. So, never run over your pins. And now we have a beautiful little 9 patch. Again, I'm gonna go press this seam open, and then it'll look like this on the back. Nice and clean and tidy. So then when you put them together, you can do something like that quilt, which is all 9 patches and then some strips in between. So it's kind of a fun way to play with scraps of fabric. Any questions on how to make a 9 patch? No? Excellent.
And you can do it with strips or with 2.5-inch squares.
Well, this little demo was all about using pre-cut squares, you know, so you can make it super scrappy.
So are those available here in the store?
These cute little guys are available at the store, the Stitchin Post. They're 2.5-inch squares, $5 for 40 little squares.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're a wide variety. So all of these guys came from one of these little, couple of these little guys. Put them all together, you can have a blast. I like it because it can be super scrappy when you use the pre-cut 2.5-inch squares as opposed to using a roll. The roll, you're gonna get a lot more repeated characters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.